and welcome back to the Strong Collectors Podcast. My name is Dakota.
And I'm Jordan.
And today we're going to be covering the Captain America Flight Gear Build-A-Figure Wave, the Watcher Build-A-Figure Wave, and the Armadillo Build-A-Figure Wave. So before we get into that, though, we need to cover our beginning segment of What You Got. So
what you got?
We are going to go... I got, this week, was a pretty successful week. I got one box in particular that I was really excited about. I got the Deluxe Modoc, which I was very skeptical about, but I had seen a lot of reviews. People really liked him, so figured I'd give him a chance. I have a lot of the AIM soldiers, so they needed a leader. I had the leader as their leader, but Modoc is really the AIM leader, so picked him up, and I am not disappointed at all. He is way cooler than the Toy Biz one. We never actually completed the Toy Biz Modoc Build-A-Figure, but
when we teamed up to build them back in the day, something happened.
And the pieces are lost into the abyss. So, not sure what happened to those, but this Modoc takes the cake.
Can also, I get another look at him here?
Yeah.
Just for our viewers on video. Yes.
Are not on video. Like we said last week, Modoc is just a floating head with little arms and legs and kind of a rocket chair. The rocket
what
effect...
are the articulation on the arms and legs? Do those move?
He's got articulation on the arms and legs, not a lot. Single jointed elbows, and they're kind of weirdly jointed. Like you can't quite get them in every position, so you kind of have to move it and bend it. His little arm thing that he controls his hover chair with is articulated, but again, since his arm's not that articulated, there's not a lot of range you can get with it. Let's see, he's got, looks like double jointed knees, which he's pretty much just going to be sitting in his chair, so they just need to be hanging. You can swap out his faceplate for like a more just grumpy look or an angry look. His jetpack, the fire effect is pretty cool. It was a little bit tricky to get him put together. You had to line up the pieces, and for some reason the hair was giving me issues, but watched a Shartimus Prime video, watched him do it, and he said that was pretty common, that it was hard to put together, so didn't feel too bad. But also in that box, I got the torso to my Crimson Dynamo, so I finally am able to put him together.
Very nice.
Pretty cool Build-A-Figure. He's got surprisingly good articulation too. He's got a head that can look way up and way down. He's got like that joint from the neck, and then the bottom of the neck is posable. He's got these translucent blue cylinders on his wrist cuffs, and yeah, pretty fun figure to pose around. If you follow us on the Strong Collector Instagram, you saw some pictures of him posted. And then also behind me on the shelf here, I've got my retro Green Goblin up on the Demo Goblin Build-A-Figure stand. That was a little bit tricky to get in there, as the ball of the stand seemed too big and the port was too small. So just had the hairdryer on those for a few seconds each, and was able to get it in there. Still, if you move it around too much, it pops right out. I don't know if you've tried putting yours in there.
Not yet. I was going to take your advice and try it, though.
Yeah, probably have the hairdryer handy when you're doing that. And other than that, that was my haul for the weekend. We're going to be recording a few podcasts in this sitting, so I'll save my other What You Got for the next episode.
I'm going to adjust this light, Dakota, because I wanted you to be able to see what I got.
All right.
Very clearly. It's a little dark for me. See if that's any better. A little bit better. Okay, so for my week of what I got, I would say the most significant one is actually in a display here, so I'm going to have to pry him away. But this is the Fearsome Foes Rhino. So taking it back to the Toy Biz era, I believe it was a 6-pack, 5-pack?
Yeah, correct.
With Spiderman. And I got Vulture up there from that, which is pretty cool. But also, we got Carnage, and then
I believe Doc Ock was in that
Am
as
I
well.
missing somebody?
Doc Ock
I don't think it was Doc Ock.
was the
It
lizard.
might have just been Carnage. Yeah, Lizard. Lizard. There was a lizard in there. That's right. So, I was a little uncertain because I got the lizard from that a while ago, because lizard is hard to get because of the basically Build-A-Figure being the only good one. So I was a little disappointed by the size of it. Didn't really scale well, the Fearsome Foes lizard. But this Rhino is pretty good. Like if you take, I'll grab my Tom Holland Spidey here for our watchers at home, and you compare, like,
Oh yeah.
you know, it's
Spider-Man's coming
not
up
perfect,
to like
but I mean,
his shoulder, not even.
right, yeah. So it works pretty well. I mean, I think he has this cool thing where, you just duck his head down and you can make him like he's charging, or it's just surprisingly, it's decently substantial, not
Nice.
heavy enough to smash through a window or anything, but I think if, honestly, I have the heads of the Build-A-Figure Rhino, and I don't really like him as much as this one. Like, this one just has that classic Rhino look. He's kind of got this grimace going on, almost like a cross-eyed look, and he's got the, like, little rhino eyes on his skin. He's got, like, the detailed ridges on the back. So if I'd had this one as a kid, I would have loved it, but even as an adult, I think it's a pretty good Rhino and goes well with your Hasbro collection. So if anyone's on the fence about that Rhino, who knows, there might be a new one, Rhino coming soon, probably as soon as I picked up this one. But in the meantime, this one's pretty cool. So that's probably what I'm most excited about recently.
All right. Well, with the what you got portion of this show out of the way, Jordan, why don't you bring us into the wave?
Yes, so we are covering the Disney Plus Falcon and the Winter Soldier wave. Now, to start us off here, I guess I'll start big. Say this is the Build-A-Figure. So a little different than a normal Build-A-Figure. Holding it up here, it is the Sam Wilson Captain America, and the Build-A-Figure was actually the wings. So you got a piece of the wings with each different character, and then you had a little stand here. This is the first one, kind of as an adult, that I decided to complete. I saw there were... I just liked the design of the new Captain America suit. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it looked good in the show. And then, I don't know, I saw the figure and I was like, I need this. And I grabbed it. And I think I didn't totally understand the concept because I was like, oh, I can just clip the things on. But then I found out later you had to get Loki to get a different backpack. So I felt a little cheated there. But such is life. I added to the thrill of the hunt. So, I got this whole wave. I have also here with me. So we got, of course, Captain America. We got the Scarlet Witch.
People really like that Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, I thought she was pretty cool. I think it had a pretty good... I think most all of these... Well, I guess I'll go through the rest of them. So then we had White Vision. And then we had Baron Zemo. And U.S. Agent, and Loki, right? Am I missing any, Dakota?
Nope, that was
I
all
think
of
I
them.
hit them all there. Yeah.
Yep.
So, I would say the coolest thing about these, I think they capture the look of the movie figures pretty well. I think even the likeness is pretty good. Like, I think this looks pretty close to Elizabeth Olsen, the Scarlet Witch.
Right.
I think the Anthony Mackie, it looks like him. I think, did I say Bucky? I think Bucky looked pretty good. The one for me that was a little off was Loki. I mean, kind of there, but a little bit not. Mm-hmm. But I thought, for the most part, they were all pretty cool. I liked probably... Man, it's tough to say. But I think Scarlet Witch, I might have to agree with you, probably was the coolest. She came with these like little effects you could kind of put on her hands, and she sort of... I don't know if the other figures had those like magic finger hands, but those were cool, I thought. as far as the Build-A-Figure goes, I know some people had mixed feelings on the wings being the Build-A-Figure. How did you feel about that, Dakota? Instead of a traditional figure.
I think I'm in the same boat as you where I may be a little bit biased where, like you said, this was your first wave to really go after and hunt in the stores to complete. My wife actually got me the Sam Wilson figure for my birthday. So that was the first action figure she had bought me. So it was kind of one of those, like, I'm getting you this so that you can complete the Build-A-Figure, kind of a hunt within the present. So I had fun being able to complete the figure that she got me. I will say, though, I do much more prefer those substantial figures like Crimson Dynamo or Armadillo as a Build-A-Figure. I just feel like it feels more like worth it when you finish it. But I do know that, like, with those wings, that would have had to have either been a Build-A-Figure or a deluxe, kind of like they did with Vulture. Maybe I doubt they would put out another one with the wings because they've got the 2-pack coming out with the Steve Rogers Captain America and then the new Captain America in the same pack. But I think it's good. If it's the only way we're ever going to get those wings, I'll take it. But I'm not a huge MCU collector, so I didn't get those other figures like you did. But yeah, overall, I think it was a pretty cool Build-A-Figure. I really do like how it displays. It's really good. I like that it came with that stand, so it's got some more options with it too.
Yeah, and I thought, I think I agree with you. If it was between this or having to buy the deluxe, like, I get that they maybe wanted to make the wing, and like, I think it's kind of cool that they're Build-A-Figures, because, like, you can do, like, remember that cool part in the movie or the show where he's, like, making him shields or, like, using them to push stuff. Like, they're not just a stiff pair of wings. Like, you can, as much as you can articulate the wings, right? Because I think that is, like, one of the coolest parts of the design for this figure or for this costume and the character. So, I don't know, even if you couldn't get them all, I think these two are kind of reversible. So I think I remember cheating for a while I waited to get my other one in. But Loki was fun. I mean, this one came out when we didn't really know much about the Loki show, if I remember right. Yes. So it was kind of shrouded in mystery, but, like, it's kind of cool now that he's got the jacket. This is variant on the back. Kind of got, like, the TVA logo on him. I think I wanted maybe, like, an accessory with Loki would have been cool.
It would have been cool if he came with the little orange clock lady.
Yeah, like a Miss Minutes would have been cool. Yeah, or one of those, like, the Tempad things, or the stick, or even his knives, I mean, he whips those out at some point. But the other figures made up for that. Baron Zemo had cool accessories. I had he came with the, like, Winter Soldier little, like, diary thing, which I thought was cool. But yeah, overall I really enjoyed it. I think it was a pretty strong first wave to go with the Disney Plus shows.
True. All right. Next, we're going to switch into the Armadillo Build-A-Figure wave. So we'll run down the list of figures there and then get into each one a little bit more. So to complete Armadillo, the figures in the wave were the integrated suit Spiderman, which I believe did not come with a Build-A-Figure part, the black and gold Spider-Man, the Doctor Strange, J. Jonah Jameson, and then getting into the comic book based figures, we had Moreland and Shriek, and then going into the Gamerverse, we had Miles Morales, and then there was also the Walgreens exclusive upgraded suit Spider-Man that was also a part of that
Walmart
wave.
Exclusive, right?
Yes, Walmart exclusive. So, like I said, I don't do a lot of the MCU figures, but as soon as they announced Armadillo as the Build-A-Figure, I don't know anything about the figure, but he looks awesome, and I was able to make some trades and get Armadillo. Now, Armadillo is quite substantial. He's got the claw hands. He's got some nasty looking toenails. Really good detail on his armor plating. His back armor plating can come off. I don't know why you'd ever want like a shirtless looking armadillo. Kind of looks gross, but the armor plating is really good. I will say I was really disappointed with his ankle articulation. For some reason, they don't let his ankles go anywhere past flat, or maybe even not even flat. So trying to get him standing up almost in any pose is a huge challenge. If you just want him like in a vanilla upright pose, I cannot get him to stand up unless he's like crunched forward or leaning one arm outstretched to kind of counterbalance. So that was a big disappointment. I was like, man, I might even just try to sell him off or trade him. I've kept him because you can get him in some like side lunging poses, which are cool. And just where else are you ever going to find an armadillo action figure? But yeah, those ankles just drive me absolutely crazy.
That'll happen. Okay, so Armadillo Build-A-Figure is substantial, but somewhat frustrating.
Yes. So I mean, chances are you're not going to need Armadillo in your displays, unless you're like me and you just like some of those oddball characters. Like I like to collect some of those D-listers like Blizzard and the Serpent Society, Whirlwind, people like that aren't really your A-level bad guys like Magneto and Venom. But he's interesting and cool looking. So honestly, to me, if you don't enjoy collecting like I do, he's passable. If you enjoy collecting like I do, you might just have to put up with the frustrating ankles.
If you don't enjoy collecting, what are you doing listening to this podcast?
Exactly.
Unless you're our moms.
Now, do you have the Doctor Strange from this wave?
I do, yeah. I have him right here. So I have him right now equipped with... So I had gotten, before this, there was the Dormammu wave movie Strange, which everybody was kind of fighting to get for a while. But I think you and I rightly assessed this one would definitely usurp it. So he has the like spell effect hands, but they're actually like coming out of his palms, like the fingertips. Whereas the old one just had like you'd slide the accessory in and out, which is kind of lame compared to this. I think this is a much cooler design. It's just a better sculpt too. I wish I had the old one. I think I gave it to my nephew when I got this one, but sorry, James, you don't get top tier Doctor Strange. Maybe when you're older. But I'll hold up like the likeness. I think is pretty good to Benedict Cumberbatch. I think the detail on like even giving him the. I still like that the stone is removable. I know that the time stone's destroyed and whatnot, but you can still kind of pretend. And then his cape, the old one, like draped over his shoulder. I think you remember that, which kind of limited mobility. And you know how I feel about capes limiting mobility. And this one I think is pretty cool because he's still open to move. You know, you can pose him in more dynamic ways. You know, he's not too stiff as far as that goes. So that's pretty cool. He has regular hands too, but I just wanted to show off these ones because I thought they were the cooler ones. But I guess we're getting another Doctor Strange. And
how do you think this one is going to compare to the? We've got like 3 or 4 Doctor Stranges coming out. 4,
yeah.
I think. How does this one compare to the other MCU ones?
It'll be tough. I mean, I think they're getting me because the new one, it's like that retro costume and modern where it kind of has that like almost logo on the front. So we'll see. I don't know. I might wait till I see other people having it before I spring for it. But because for now I like this one. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it just, yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. So the Doctor Strange is good. I think that might be one of the standouts for me. The other one I really like is the Miles Morales.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people would agree, but this is, even though it's the gamerverse, like it's not too specific where you could use him as kind of a comic book display or put him with those other characters. As you can see, he's got the yellow lightning hand effects,
Mm-hmm.
which makes for a pretty cool looking Miles. This one even has like the textured details on the costume, which are cool. I think definitely for me better than all the other Miles, even the comic book ones.
Mm-hmm.
I got that one before this one. Didn't really do it for me. I know a lot of people have complained. I might have to agree. In some ways, he's a little tall. Like here he is compared to the integrated suit Spidey. I'm holding up, and he's a little taller than him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can tell.
Which you wouldn't expect out of your Miles.
Right, because he's obviously the younger.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like they always make these Tom Holland Spider-Mans too. Like, I guess he's kind of short, though. Or shorter.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not like short, but maybe Zendaya's just tall. I don't know. Maybe a little bit of both. But overall, I think it's definitely the best Miles Morales they've made. So, I get why this one was really sought after.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess switching over to this integrated. Do you have the integrated suit, Spidey? The one with the gold?
That's all I've only have
symbol?
the Armadillo and the Miles.
Okay. So, the one thing I'll say about this Spider-Man, and this is what a lot of people say, is that they don't have like the dark lines on the webbing on his costume. It's just kind of sculpted in there, but not painted in. I mean, I think it's easy enough. I've seen a lot of people fix that with, customizing. I have not done it yet, of course. But really in the MCU movies, his webbing is not super pronounced on his costumes. So that really honestly doesn't bother me as much as it bothers some other people. I think he poses pretty well. I think it makes sense. This is the one that didn't have the piece because, everybody wants Spider-Man. So as a kid, I think I had like 15 to 20 different versions of, I had Firefighter Spider-Man, and yeah, it's probably true today. I'm a Spidey guy. So I would say my favorites probably were Miles and Doctor Strange. I love Moreland, the character. Moreland's basically like a vampire who absorbs the essence of spider people. So he's kind of like a Dracula type, which he's pretty ruthless. And I've always liked the comics where he appeared first. But I don't know, whatever reason, the design just looked a little too goofy for me. He looked kind of cartoony. So I passed on him. And as much as I love J.K. Simmons, also was not really into the J. Jonah from what I don't know.
Yeah.
I would have almost preferred, but I mean, I guess they have the retro out. So if you want the classic, you can get that. Mm-hmm. Maybe I wanted to see how big of a part he'd be in the movie, which, spoiler alert, wasn't too huge. And then we had... What do we have on there? Shriek.
The black and gold Spider-Man. The black and gold Spider-Man, was that even in the movie? It had to have been such a small part that I don't remember.
Yeah, he uses it briefly for a little bit. I mean, you can tell, I think they were thinking of how many toys can we sell with this movie. We got to give him at least 4 suits, which, I get it. Right. He needs suits. And then there was Shriek.
Yeah. Shriek is one that I may end up with a Shriek just because I've got the other symbiotes and that Maximum Carnage storyline. She's a big part.
She's kind of Carnage's lover.
Right.
So
I'm not in a huge rush to go out and get her, but maybe in a trade someday I'll pick her up. And then I had the upgraded suit Spider-Man from Walmart, which I think similar. It didn't have the lines painted in, but it did come with the web accessory, which I know a lot of people really like. But I think that was actually a part of my trade to get Armadillo, so he was well traded. I know he's been going up on the secondary market right now. I think he's at least above 40, so he may continue going up. I think that web accessory really helps him.
Very nice. So overall, our thoughts on the Armadillo wave, Dakota?
I would say, like I said, Armadillo, cool. Other figures in the wave, the only standout for me was Miles, and I haven't even taken him out of the package yet. So, but I also don't do MCU figures, so that's kind of a bias on my part. Not my favorite wave of the year, but definitely, I would say the most interesting and unique Build-A-Figure that we got.
Yeah.
What are your
agree
thoughts?
with that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, from when I had Armadillo completed, I think. No, I think I may have just seen yours, but I don't know. I didn't really, he felt a little too bulky, almost too substantial, if such a thing exists. It was just kind of like, for me, a big hunk of plastic, which maybe some people like, and that's cool. I think, yeah, the Doctor Strange is cool, but kind of undercut by the fact that we're getting another one. And I would say Miles, honestly, maybe I would say is definitely the standout of the whole wave. And I think if you're going to get one figure from that wave, I would say Miles is probably the one to have.
Yeah, and I know he was in a lot of people's top figure of the year for a lot of people.
Yeah, but he's pretty great. So I don't see them topping that Miles for a while. The other figures, I could see them coming out with ones that kind of make them be forgotten with time. But I think Miles will be one that remains cool and unmatched.
Even with the upcoming Spider-Verse movie?
I don't know. I mean, unless they up their game from the Spider-Verse last batch. You know how I felt about that, Miles.
Right.
So, I don't know. We'll see. I've been wrong before.
True. Not often, but it does
Not
happen.
often, but it happens.
All right.
All right.
You want to take us into the next wave?
Yes, the next wave is... Wait, which one are we doing? Sorry.
The Watcher. I got the
the
shirt on
Watcher,
and everything.
That's right. Sorry. So yes, the Watcher wave, the next Disney Plus. A lot of people called it, just said the What If wave, right? We had Captain Carter. So these were all, I think all of them for the most part, except for one figure, was from the What If Disney Plus animated series. So we had Captain Carter. We had... Do you have Captain Carter there, Dakota?
I do.
I think you do, right?
Captain Carter.
We had Captain Carter. We had the Zombie Hunter Spider-Man. We had the T'Challa Star-Lord, Zombie Captain America, and Heist Nebula. Oh, I got Zombie Cap here too. And then Strange Supreme, who I bring out when we're talking about him, Sylvie. And then there was also the Deluxe Hydra Stomper, which did not have a Build-A-Figure piece. And we also had Captain Carter Stealth from the Target exclusive. So let's start at the top. Captain Carter. That's one that you have. So this is the version of Peggy Carter that is the one who gets the Super Soldier Serum and is essentially the Captain America stand-in of that universe. Yeah. How is she, Dakota?
I am a big fan. That was probably my favorite What If episode, was that first one. And then I really liked the idea that they gave us her and the Hydra Stomper, because in the show she like rides on the back of the Hydra Stomper, and you can do that with these characters. I think her shield is pretty cool. I like that it's the more like buckles in the back where it's that like molded plastic rather than the plastic clip that comes on.
Clip on, yeah.
Right. Because those plastic clips, I have always had those snap. I mean, I have a few left that don't, but once I clip those on an arm, that's where they're staying, because if I try to take it off, it's going to break. So I was a big fan of that. I also really liked that the molded loops are smaller. So I found it was way easier to take her hand off, put the shield on, and then port the hand back on. So it's not going to fall off as easily as like I've got a spawn up on the shelf behind me that has the shield as well, but they're larger loops and it's harder to keep that shield on there. So yeah, I thought she's really cool. She's got the symbol molded onto her chest, pretty good. And yeah, everything else, the paint is really good. I mean, mine doesn't really have any paint blemishes. The face looks just like the cartoon. I know some people weren't a huge fan of the cartoon look because they were like, where am I going to put these in my display? Because they're not necessarily MCU where they look like the human version of these characters, but they're also not comic book versions because they are from an MCU show. So I guess I'm not that strict with my displaying. I'll display what looks cool with what looks cool, and I think she's one that looks cool. So I didn't have any issues with it. I will say I was pretty skeptical on this whole wave before it came out. I was like, that's totally passable. I don't need anything there.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started seeing the show, enjoying the characters more, and then did get a lot more interested in the wave.
Very nice. Yeah, the other one, the next one I'll talk about is going to be the Zombie Hunter Spider-Man, which most probably notably comes with the Cloak of Levitation from Doctor Strange. And I don't know, I guess my thoughts on this, like, if you are needing a Spider-Man, there's a weird thing going on where I'm trying to remember how it worked, but like, because the likeness of this, it looks more like the Spider-Man suit from Disney World. That Spider-Man. And there's some kind of rights thing where like Sony has certain likeness rights, and there was some weird thing, I think, where for whatever reason they had to make this like close enough to your MCU Spidey, but kind of different. So I think if you need a Spidey that looks MCU-ish, he definitely fits. Like, he doesn't, like you said, he's not so like cartoony. He couldn't go with other figures. One thing people either liked or disliked was that he has these like almost like dried blood, dirt scuff marks like on his foot there. I think when I first got mine, I thought it was dirty. I think a lot of people did. So I don't know, you can say one or two things like it ruins the look of it, or oh, they were trying to put on a little extra detail, because this one doesn't have the painted on black lines either, as none of these Spider-Men really do.
They're sculpted.
I mean, the cloak, right? Yes, they're sculpted on, so you can paint in them if you'd like on your own. It's kind of cool. I mean, the thing with a lot of these characters is that if they'd factored more into the series, I probably would be more interested. Like, not to give anything away, but Zombie Hunter Spider-Man and the Cloak of Levitation is almost like, oh, he's got the Cloak of Levitation, oh, we move on. Yeah. You know, like I was kind of thinking, oh, there's going to be a whole episode about him. You know, maybe he's holding down the fort and he's the last superhero in New York and he found Doctor Strange. You know, whatever. He's kind of just there. So that's a little disappointing. I think Captain Carter made more sense, being like the focal point of an episode. But I get why they wanted to make Spider-Man, you know, because you can never have enough Spider-Man figures, apparently. So keep them coming, baby. So yeah, those were those two. And then we, I guess, gradually getting into more variations. We have the Doctor Strange Supreme figure, which is kind of the alternate world where Doctor Strange starts dabbling in some dark arts, Dakota, I would say, for lack of better phrasing there. This is another one that I was maybe like, but then I saw the episode and I thought he was maybe the coolest character, personally, I thought, to come out of, like, the coolest alternate version.
Sure.
And they kind of do a good job. They do a good job with, like, the sculpt on the face, I think, is pretty good. Like, it's not exactly like Cumberbatch, but he's kind of got that evil look. The cool thing that he had, I don't think I have it with me, but one of his alternate hands was the time stone effect. So that's kind of cool. There was kind of a weird issue. I noticed a lot of people had this, where his, like, cape was kind of, like, weirdly oily. I don't know if that's just, like, because the material on this cape, it moves a lot more than some of the other ones, so he's not as rigid. So maybe they're still pioneering some new technology, or before they give us the cloth capes. But I might just be partial because I like this version of the Strange character. But I think seeing sort of how they're weaving some of these characters into the MCU, I think he's probably one to get from the wave. I don't imagine us seeing another version of him. But like we said, there's never too many Doctor Strange.
It looks like he's going to be showing up in the new movie.
Right, exactly. So, who knows? Maybe they'll put out another one. But he came with some cool alternate hands, some cool effects. I always like when they throw those in there, because that kind of reminds me of the older Toy Biz figures where you had a bunch of accessories, or, I don't know, those are cool.
Not so much hands, but a lot more weapons and things like that. Well, I'll cover the next one. We had Heist Nebula, and then Jordan will go on to the next one.
Heist Nebula, definitely. Another one, though, where it's like she really wasn't that interesting of a part of the show.
Right. It made sense to have T'Challa Star-Lord, because he was...
That one made sense, and I had that one. I don't know, I guess Chadwick Boseman's last appearance, so maybe you'd want that one to sort of commemorate that. Because obviously they didn't know that would be his last appearance there.
Right. Now, I don't know if you noticed this, but I'd seen some reviews of he had some weird sculpt on his calves where it's like they maybe wanted to put booster, like, jetpacks on his feet, but then they decided not to, so then he just had these weird, like, giant lumps on the outsides of his calves. Did you notice that on yours?
No.
I'd seen some reviews where it just, when you look at it, it just doesn't make sense. Like, there was going to be something that was supposed to port there, or maybe they were going to paint it rocket boots and then decided not to, but they left the sculpt there. But it looks like it's just his, like, bare calf with a giant protrusion on each one. So maybe go and look that up, see if it's the same. You might have to buy another one now to see.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go do it tonight.
But
yeah, at Walmart in seconds. Okay, so we're talking about Zombie Cap.
Yeah.
We have Zombie Captain America, who I've got to say I think easily the best figure of the wave, personally. How did you feel about Zombie Cap, Dakota?
Again, he was one that took some growing, and not even because of the show. I thought, kind of going back to Heist Nebula, I didn't think Zombie Captain America played a huge role in that episode. I mean, obviously there was the fight scene on the train, but then he gets taken out. But the figure itself is super cool, where they've actually sculpted in holes into his legs where you can see chunks taken out of his thigh. There's a hole going straight through both thighs. You've got the ribs exposed from his chest. His jaw is open a lot more, like it's broken and just looks
almost
zombified.
Dislocated looking.
Exactly, yeah. And yeah, I still need to give mine another bath because I got it in a trade from a smoky guy. I know you tried to help with that, but then I neglected to give him another bath, and he still smells smoky. So,
Right. We'll do an episode on that later.
Yes.
How do you get the smoke smell out of your toys if it was not disclosed to you in a trade that they smelled like smoke?
Mm-hmm.
So, stay tuned. Mine does not smell like smoke, but yeah, I mean, I think I love the Marvel Zombies storyline, the comics. Always been a big fan of those. I have the Select Colonel America, is what they call him in the comics. But in those one, that one's a bit more brutal. Like in that one, the comic, like the top half of his head gets chopped off, so it's like his brains are exposed. There's actually a really cool scene in the opening of Marvel Zombies where Magneto is getting pursued through the city by all the zombies, and he's just like wrecking him. So I think yeah, he throws Cap's shield back at him and just, cuts his top of his head off. So you get some cool stuff like that. That's a little more probably graphic in the comics. So I get why. But even for this, like for a kids show and for like this is pretty grotesque looking.
It is
I think they gave him like
for a child's toy.
The blue skin to sort of make him a little more friendly, I suppose. As friendly as this guy can be. But I understand why of all the zombies, it's like, yeah, zombie Captain America. That sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like as a kid, I probably would have just seen this and been like, I want that. So I get why they made him the one that did not have a Build-A-Figure piece too, because you can, I don't know. I mean, it's just a cool addition to a collection, and I think I've seen some other people do cool work like customizing this one, even making him more like gritty, I suppose. But I like even his shield had like the painted on like dried blood essentially,
right?
Which is another detail you could have just left out. So I'd say he's pretty cool. Definitely one, and he's made of a material that feels different. I don't know what that is, but he feels. It's not like hard plastic, but it's not like so soft that you can't get him in good poses. So I liked him a lot.
Yeah, and he's got really good articulation for some zombie poses, like his what is that, like a diaphragm joint goes over pretty far. His hand is sculpted like a zombie claw with a broken wrist reaching out at you. You can have him dragging a leg behind. Lots of good poses for him.
Right. Yeah. So I know a lot of people have expressed wanting to see more zombies.
Right.
I mean, if they're in this style, I would not mind. I don't know. If they made a comic zombie, I mean, I guess they're making the show, animated zombie show, so maybe who knows what that's going to be like.
True.
But there's some fun stuff you could probably do there.
McFarlane just put out a whole bunch of DC zombies, so...
Deceased?
Yes, deceased. Which, those
whoever thought that pun up is just raking in
that is
the
true.
dough.
Good pun. I will say this zombie Captain America blows the deceased figures out of the water. Because they just look like angry sculpted bloody versions of themselves. So Hasbro really went above and beyond with the sculpting on this Captain America.
Absolutely. And then we have, is it Sylvie next?
Yep.
On our list here, Dakota. So I have Sylvie right here. We got Sylvie. My fiance was a big fan of Loki, and especially the show. I liked it a lot too, but we thought for sure Sylvie would be one that we wanted to get, and I was pretty pleased. She comes with the knife, or kind of, I don't know, little mini sword, dagger knife. What do you call this, Dakota?
Kind of looks like a machete, but I know it's not a machete.
More of a machete.
Yeah.
Kind of machete, a little green machete. So I thought that was cool. They gave her that. She had some alternate hands. The cloak, it's kind of a big piece, which I get. Kind of does the mobility limiting thing. But you can take that off if you want. Give her a little more freedom. I liked that the sculpt, like I thought the face sculpt was pretty good. I liked the broken horn on the kind of diadem was a fun feature. I do think, I don't know, this is kind of my critique also of the Scarlet Witch figure though, is like sometimes the female sculpts still look kind of weird on the Hasbros for me. Like, just look at the arm. I don't know. Sometimes they seem to make the arms like these little teeny tiny stick arms on all the lady figures.
And are those both single jointed elbows?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's where, like, Ironheart, even though she had those skinnier arms, like you're saying, with those double jointed elbows, it just makes a big difference. Of you get a lot more posing with it, and feels a lot better.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm excited for, I guess, on the thread of Scarlet Witch, there's that newer retro Scarlet Witch, which looks to be moving away maybe from that sort of sculpt, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't know. It would have been nice to see Sylvie with some. I'm trying to think what I would have wanted. I guess she could have came with a TVA, the Tempad or something. Would have been cool, but she's got the machete, so I'll take it. So we've got then Deluxe Hydra Stomper and Target.
Yeah. The two.
It's basically just a repaint of the Captain Carter stealth version, just blue and more blue and white, silver,
gray and
gray and
Yeah, so I definitely like the original Captain Carter better. I didn't pick up the other one. But, I mean, if you liked that, if you wanted to build your, whatever that is, the Avengers of the Multiverse, then that would make sense, I guess. But, again, my favorite was the first, and so that's the figure I got. The Deluxe Hydra Stomper, though, talking about substantial, this guy is solid. I know I saw a lot of reviews where he had loose knees or legs. Luckily, mine is pretty solid, but goes really well with your Captain Carter. I mean, Captain Carter, like, standing them next to each other, she comes up to his belt. So it gives you an idea of the height that you get out of him. He also comes with the detachable jetpack, so you can take that off, port it back on. And then on top of that jetpack, there's a handle where Captain Carter can hold on, and then there's there's no foot pegs, but there's spaces where her feet go, so she can be riding on the back. There's also portholes on the jetpack, so you can put in the larger Iron Man type effects for the rocket thrust.
Did it come with those, Dakota, or
Yes.
are those just you mean? Okay,
so those are.
Couldn't remember.
They're bigger than the normal Iron Man sculpted repulsor effects, but you can also use your smaller effects to port onto his hand cannon. So I thought that was a really cool detail, that you can still use those smaller ones and have that blast effect on him, kind of like your Deluxe War Machine would. And I would assume you could probably put some smoke effects in there. I haven't tried that, but yeah, really cool figure. Pretty good articulation. Very substantial. I think he was a $50 figure, but you're essentially getting a Build-A-Figure out of him. I mean, standing him next to Armadillo. Armadillo comes up to his chest, so even bigger than that Armadillo next to...
Worth the $50, Dakota?
I personally...
Was it more of a clearance buy?
I got this one as a Christmas gift, so I was happy that I didn't have to shell out that $50. But comparing him to the sizes of these Build-A-Figures, and if you're like me and substantial is important to you, he is humongous. I mean, not quite as tall as Surtur was, and I think they were at the same price. So I mean, Surtur, you're probably getting a little bit more plastic for your money, but to go with your Captain Carter, and I also have a lot of Iron Man figures, the Hall of Armor. So he'd go well in that, even though it's technically a what-if separate thing. Still an Iron Man type armor. So I think he's worth that $50. And I would say more so than some of those other $50 figures like the Vulture. So Vulture maybe wait to go on clearance, but Hydra Stomper, I mean, you might be able to find him on clearance or get a discount somehow, but definitely a cool figure. I would recommend him.
Okay, and then that brings us to the Build-A-Figure for this wave, which was the Watcher. So here we have the Watcher. Oh, there you go. First problem. So, first of all, I guess the Watcher, will say he is sort of the cosmic observer type character. Initially appeared in the Fantastic Four comics, The Coming of Galactus. Sort of his deal is that he can't interfere, he just has to watch. But he has, of course, strong cosmic abilities. But he cannot grow any body hair. So, just kidding. I don't know if that's a rule. I don't know why, but he is always has been bald. And he's got this kind of big old head going on. So, until this point, I mean, your only real option for a Watcher, I believe, was the Diamond Select version. Mm-hmm. That seems to be the Watcher most people have had or used, so I think some people were maybe excited when this was announced, but the design, I think it's more of a fault with the design. Like, I think they captured the look of the character in the show, but I don't particularly like this look. I think it's sort of a shame because he does have, like, nice... He's got some nice legs. He does have funny looking legs if you just look at him. I know I have him in a box somewhere, like just his legs, so I don't have to rip them off. But, I mean, he's got this sort of, like... I think he can do a lot of... Like, that just looks kind of funny to me. I'm holding it up now to the camera, but it looks like a Barbie leg.
It does.
But that said, like, you can bend it pretty well, you know. But, unfortunately... But I guess, I don't know, how much bending does the Watcher need to do? But he's just got this giant hunk of plastic for, like, a cloak dress thing that kind of all you can really do is stand him here. And then I don't really like the one sleeve thing. Odd fashion choice. And it's cold in space. I much would have rather, maybe it would have been a spoiler. I don't know, spoiler alert if you haven't seen What If. But he does have a different look at one point where he's got more of like an armored battle Watcher, which I think might have motivated some more people. Because I think people could tell from just looking at it, like, well, I guess, but he's sort of, again, almost more of a statue, kind of stationary. Mm-hmm. So, sort of missed opportunity in my opinion.
Could they use those legs again? Like, because that was a lot of articulation. Like, you could get those legs bent clear, like calf to hamstring. Would that be in a different Build-A-Figure?
He does not miss squat day. I don't know.
I'm trying to think of another figure that would have those legs, and I mean, nothing's coming to mind for me.
Great set of legs. Who's got a great set of legs in the Marvel Universe? We'll have to think about that. If you know online, you know, let us know. But, yeah, I think overall, I get why they did it, but you could have probably thrown in a comic figure or two to sort of give some more incentive to people.
Yeah.
personally, but I don't know. I think they wanted to stay on brand, so I get it. A lot of people have talked about maybe wanting to see more What If figures, at least like Zombies or the Vision Ultron hybrid. If they don't come out with him, I think that will be a missed opportunity to have made him a Build-A-Figure or like a deluxe or something, but maybe they're coming out with that. I don't know.
True, maybe that would have been too much of a spoiler to have had prepared already.
I mean, he was in like posters though, so I don't know.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Such is life. So overall, I would say of those, man, it's tough. Personally, I think I like the Falcon, Captain America, Sam Wilson Build-A-Figure. Maybe I'm just sentimental because it was the first one I completely hunted down. But I liked that one the best as far as the Build-A-Figures go. I know you're partial to the Armadillo. I think the Watcher is definitely a little kind of a skip. But don't tell anyone that because I'm trying to sell it.
We'll make sure that you sell it before we publish this podcast.
Excellent. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that, like, if they would have had the armored version of the Watcher, it would have made less sense just because you would have had, like, you can't argue, like, this is my Watcher for the comics because he's never really armored up like that. Where this one, you could kind of have him in the background, just, like, back there, like, that's my Watcher. Like, he's not...
He's watching.
He's not quite the Watcher like the Diamond Select, but also I'm not a huge fan of that one. I think that one also looks a little goofy.
Yeah.
Something in between those two, I think, would be ideal. But I mean, maybe we'll get one of those if the Watcher comes into the regular MCU live action. We'll get a.
I mean, you can kind of do this cool Watcher-esque pose here. Maybe I just don't like that. I wish they wouldn't have given him such a big flowy cloak. Just kind of completely takes out the mobility there. But I like the Watcher. Cool figure. And again, I think it was cool, like I said, with the Spider-Verse figures, to see them sort of capture like the art style, but do it in a way where they can kind of integrate with your other figures pretty well, I think.
Right. All right. Well, with all of that being said, we seem to be going longer and longer with our recordings, so we'll see if we can get that under control on our next one. Try to keep it closer to a half hour. We're pushing up into the hour territory right now. But in our next episode, we're going to talk about the Gilgamesh Build-A-Figure wave, barely. And then we're going to talk about the Infinity Saga. And then we'll talk about the Deluxes, exclusives, things like that we haven't mentioned already. So until next time, you can follow us on our Instagram. That's going to be our main place to find us, Strong Collectors. We'll post photos of our collection, mostly Marvel Legends. We'll throw in some DC Universe classics, some Spawn, because I enjoy those. Maybe Jordan will throw in some Star Wars. But we'll try to keep it mainly Marvel Legends. And yeah, until next time.
And hopefully somewhere you can see this video.
Right. I mean, if the video's a little glitchy, hopefully the audio keeps getting better and better. Video may get better. This is how it is.
Oh yeah, I've got a microphone now.
That's true.
So if I sound better, you know why.
We've both got microphones. We're trying to do better for you folks. So in order to keep doing better, let us know that you like us by liking the podcast or following it or subscribing to it or share it with your friends. Get more people to listen to it. Super helpful. Makes us feel good. Boosts our egos a little bit. Hopefully we're not just talking to 3 people.
But even if we are, we appreciate all 3 of you.
Exactly. So until next time, stay strong.